this a real challenge? You've finally caught my attention. Strength in their projections. They became reliant on them.
Hey, what's up Exiles? Welcome back to a brand new build guide For this video, I'd like to start by actually asking you this question. Have you ever been actually playing this game until all of a sudden you get this idea for a very unconventional build that you thought it's simply too crazy to work and just went along with your thing? But then a few minutes later, you realize that maybe the build is too crazy that it will actually work and it will be a good build. So you decided to sit down and put together a PoE for it, and you look at the numbers, they do look promising, so you say, okay, let's just start leveling up a character. And once you hit the cap of level 90 plus and buy all the items, you start min-maxing the build, you realize that you have actually created a monstrosity that happened to be one of your best builds so far. And yeah, that basically summarizes my experience with this build. Before I start anything, I'm not going to say that this is a very unconventional build that has basically never been done before. It's not an original build, because yeah, we are a trickster, we are using Eternity Shroud. Wow, that's not new, Phoenix, I know. And that's not the unconventional part of the build. It is basically playing trickster as melee with this basic side of the tree. Usually melee builds are played with this side of the tree. Even if you are playing, for example, a fire build, lightning build, cold build, you would still scale physical damage from this side of the tree and just convert it into an element, and you would that would work just fine. But playing melee with this side of the tree with a trickster using Eternity Shroud, that I don't think many people have done that before. And yeah, that's basically the build, the basic idea of the build that I had while playing. And I have put this together and ended up being one of actually my best builds so far. After Cyclone, this is my best build. And yeah, I don't want to waste most of your time on this segment of this video, so let's just jump into it. So we are Trickster because we want Harness the Void special node. This is very powerful as it gives you extra chaos damage from your non-chaos damage with hits. And this is powerful because it doesn't have any condition. For example, the only other ascendancy node that gives you something similar is the Occultist, Profane Bloom, I think it was called, and it gives you non-chaos as chaos if for each curse on enemy you have killed which is affected by your curses. And yeah, that's basically a harsh condition that forces the player to run at least one curse as aura, and it won't give you lots of non-chaos as chaos. But this one gives you lots of it, and it's not conditional, so you will just get lots of non-chaos as chaos with your hits. And that's for those who didn't know why people run Trickster with almost every single Eternity Shroud build. Now, this will not be your first node because you will not going to be leveling with an Eternity Shroud, obviously. You will go for Swift Killer first. It gives you +1 to Frenzy and Power charges and gives you lots of them as you kill stuff. So that's a huge boost to your clearing speed, and that's why people take this one first, because it's good in the early game, mid game, and end game. As long as you kill stuff, this will be a very powerful node for you. Next, we go for these two in conjunction with each other. They work well to give you charges. This one gives you Ghost charges, a Ghost Shroud up to 3, and gives you movement speed while you have Shroud. It gives you chance to evade attacks while you have Energy Shield. And this one gives you 6% attack and cast speed with each Ghost Shroud you have. And that's exactly why I told you to go with these, since they work in conjunction with each other to make you more tanky and give you a little bit of haste effect. With this one gives you movement speed, and this one gives you attack and cast speed as long as you have Ghost Shrouds. And this one makes you cannot be stunned while you have the Shrouds. It's not all the time, but we have good amount of stun avoidance in this build. So yeah, you pick these two together. The moment you take this one, you just take this one afterward. So it's either this node is your second node or it's your last node. And I don't recommend you to start with this build because it's really item dependent, and although it has lots of damage even without the Eternity Shroud, it's still not really recommended, because the only thing that the Eternity Shroud does with this build is that it makes it so that Frost Blade's a skill that is not good against single target, good against single target. And yes, you can do that without the Eternity Shroud, but you will not be effectively doing bosses until you can get the Eternity Shroud. Once you do that, your damage will skyrocket. And yeah, that's basically it for the Ascendancy. It's a generic Ascendancy for Trickster, but this time it's not a spellcaster for once. So we start with nodes that scales Fizz and Chaos. This is good because with the Eternity Shroud build, you have chaos damage, and our chaos damage is derived from our elemental damage, and our elemental damage is derived from our physical damage. So nodes that increases both chaos and physical damage, the small one over here and the one over here, these basically double scale your damage, because first you have physical damage that increases, which increases the rest of your damage, because each type of damage is derived from the previous one. You have fist to elemental to chaos, and once all of that is converted into chaos, now you have increased chaos damage. So you will be looking for nodes like these, so that's why we are starting from this route over here for this small node. You will take this one. We have life over here. We will go and take like the offensive notables that the Trickster have, like very good notables. We have life over here. We have accuracy cluster over here. This one is good because it gives you crit chance alongside a huge chunk of accuracy rating. One of the most efficient accuracy node on the entire passive tree. We go bottom. We have life, fizz, and evasion cluster. We have jewel sockets, we have acrobatics and phase acrobatics. We have less than 5,000 life in this build, but here I have around 40% chance to evade and 40% chance to dodge, and in addition to like some good chance to block. I have 22% chance to block attack damage, which is powerful considering that we are in acrobatics build, which usually does not have a good chance to block. So our effective defensive layer is like around 7,000 to 8,000 life, because usually melee builds on this side of the tree do not have access to good evasion, and yeah, we have that here. Next we go bottom. We have crit nodes. We have another jewel socket. We go and take another accuracy cluster. You could like avoid taking this one if you already have like 3,000 plus accuracy. So you take this one, and after putting together all your items, if you feel like you have enough accuracy, you just like don't take this one. However, this one gives you attack speed, so yeah, it's not bad to like take. We have the most powerful sword super cluster on the entire passive tree, which is one of the privileges you get by playing as a trickster, because it's close to you compared to like when you start as a berserker, for example. You have to path all the way to get it over here, and that's really painful because you will be wasting lots of passive points. But as a trickster, the cluster is like pretty close, so you get like a huge damage boost without having to path too much for it. We have a very important cluster over here. By default, a skill like Frost Blades converts 60% from Fizz to Cold. You will get the remaining 20 from these two nodes over here, so that now you have 100% Fizz to Cold, which means that I don't have to use a Hatred Watcher's Eye mod to convert the remaining 40%. And yeah, I have here movement speed and attack speed nodes. I have more life and evasion. I have a chance to avoid being stunned, in addition to having that on one of my flasks as well, so that's almost 70% chance to avoid being stunned. I have these two nodes and this one mana leech node. These should solve all of your mana issues at any point of the game. Our damage is basically too high that like attacking once will fill our entire mana pool in like a second, even if it was like entirely not reserved. And we have like the notables for the ranger, the one for like attack damage and crit chance. We go bottom for increase the chance to deal crits while dual wielding, and like our final life cluster. For jewels, you will try to get life and increase critical strike multiplier with coldest skills as your two prefixes. This is how your ideal jewel should look like. For suffixes, you are looking for double crit, like crit multi with melee, and again melee crit chance. This is 100% a perfect jewel. You could go like, instead of life, you can have 8% increased attack speed with swords, because we are dual wielding swords in this build. And yeah, for Watcher's Eye, we have here base crit with hatred. This is all-time favorite for people who run hatred. You could go with increased cold damage if you are like on a budget, but again, if you are playing an Eternity Shroud build, you shouldn't really be considering like min-maxing the build if you are on a budget, or like even touching the Eternity Shroud at all. So yeah, you will be looking at like one mod Watcher's Eye. If you can invest more, you can get like crit multi with precision in addition to base crit with hatred, but that will be super expensive, but not like impossible to get. We are talking in the realm of like 50-60 exalts. for those who like know how to make lots of currency in a short amount of time. But like for me, just like this one node alone, it's more than enough to make this build broken. And yeah, that's it for the passive tree. Now for items, we start with the core item, which is the Eternity Shroud. Gives you 5% of elemental damage as extra chaos damage for every shaper item equipped, and your chaos damage ignores enemy chaos resistance if all items are shaper items. And yeah, that's exactly what I have achieved over here. And for those who didn't know, yes, hybrid item does count as items that goes toward the ignore chaos resistance bonus with the Eternity Shroud. So if you like craft a hybrid double influence item like this build I have over here, it will count toward like the total bonus to ignore enemy chaos resistance. It actually makes crafting items for this build easy, because now you can combine like some sick items like this build, because by default you can't have a shaped Stygian Vice dropping by nature, but with the Awaken or Orb crafting method you can exalt your Stygian Vice with like any Conqueror Orb and then like combine it with any other shaped build to create a shaped Stygian Vice. For this one I chose to have a Hunter base because it can roll percentage increased maximum life as a prefix. I wanted to get increased elemental damage, which is again another shaper prefix, and just like remove the suffixes and just multi-mod them, but I was unlucky with that and I was only able to get the percentage increased maximum life, which is still not bad considering that I have triple resistance on this build. Anyway, back to the core item. For gems I have here, I have Frost Blades linked with Ancestral Call. Get the Awakened version if you can, and this one will be swapped for Coal to Fire support gem. Converting elements is a good way to gain even more chaos damage from the Eternity Shroud, because the way of how this game works is that if you convert a type of elemental damage to another element, it will still be stored in the memory of the game. So the game will remember that you had a specific amount of elemental damage that was converted into another type, and you will be gaining chaos damage based on both. And that's why a gem like this will be very powerful, because you are gaining twice as much bonuses from converted type of elemental damage from the previous one and the new one, because like in this game the converted damage is not forgotten, it's still like remembered by the game. And yeah, for those who didn't know, that's why people like to convert different types of damage in any Eternity Shroud build. Next we have elemental damage with attacks. Increasing your elemental damage means that you will get even more chaos damage from your increased elemental damage. So yeah, we have multi-strike. This one is pretty straightforward, allowing you to attack faster, and you will not be spending mana except once every 3 attacks, because the repeated attack does not cost mana. And this is important because we barely have enough mana to like sustain ourselves. Next we have Awaken Melee Phase. You could go with like regular Melee Phase gem, but like the Awakened version increases enemy damage taken by 10% with 20% quality, which is the 10% chance to intimidate. If you press Alt, it will tell you that intimidated enemies takes 10% increased attack damage, and it's attack damage, not physical damage. This is important because we deal chaos damage, and this one just like increases our total attack damage that the enemy take by 10%. Finally, we have Inspiration. Reducing mana cost means that we don't have to invest too much into mana regen and increase maximum mana. This one has more elemental damage per inspiration charge, and we have 5 inspiration charges, which is the maximum you can have like 99% of the time. It also gives you increased critical strike chance, so this gem ends up around 40% more damage multiplier for us, including the crit chance. And yeah, that's it for your main 6 link and core item. I have talked about the belt. You will try to get yourself a shaped Stygian Vice. That's your ultimate goal for like this slot. If you can't get that, then just like get any shaped belt with increased elemental damage, shaper prefix, and good amount of life, and as much resistances as you can have. Craft increased elemental damage prefix if you have space for it. Again, increasing your elemental damage means that the gained chaos damage will also increase because it's a scalable effect. For Jewel here, I have life and as much added attack damage as possible. So yeah, that's it for Abyss Jewel. For boots, we have life, resistances, movement speed. Again, like very generic end game item. For gems here, I have a Mortal Call linked with cast when damage taken, generic cast when damage taken setup. I have cast on death with portal. I have 2 extra gem sockets, so I use them for this highly unnecessary setup. For gloves, I have Shaper's Touch, which again goes back to the start of the video when I said that this build is very unconventional. You will never see anyone using this like pair of gloves with a melee build. Now, why Shaper's Touch? First of all, it's a very common item that can be easily corruption hunted. And the reason still why I'm using this instead of using Hands of the High Templar with some sick corruptions is because this is a dexterity based passive tree and build. Because of that, we have lots of dexterity. Now, what's really powerful about this item is that it makes it so that dexterity counts towards strength. So it's basically equipping this item for me is bonus 350 strength. This translates into around 300 total life for me, and around 20% more damage, because increasing strength greatly increases your melee physical damage. And because our base damage is physical, which is converted into elemental damage, you will be gaining like more total overall damage from element and chaos, because again it's a scalable effect that depends all on your physical damage. And increasing strength is good, but because again this is a dexterity build, just like making a good use of our dexterity with Shaper's Touch and adding all of their benefits as strength as well is very powerful. And as I said, it's an item that can be easily corruption hunted, so I have got 10% increased attack speed over here. Anyway, for gem links over here, I have faster casting linked with blood magic, and these two linked with summon stone golem. So now I can cast my stone golem very quickly. And I have portal because it's linked with faster casting, so yeah, that's good. For rings, you have dual shaped rings. You are looking for level 20 Assassin's Mark on hit. The reason why I went with this curse instead of like vulnerability, elemental weakness, conductivity, and all the other curses, because this build deals a combination of elemental and chaos damage, and there isn't really any curse that benefits both at the same time, except a curse that benefits critical strikes. And Assassin's Mark gives you base crit against cursed enemies. It gives you a chance to gain a power charge on kill. I'm not using the curse for that because the Ascendancy gives me power charge on kill. But I'm using this because it makes enemies take increased crit damage from you. And with the added base crit of this item, with the base crit I got from the Watcher's Eye mod with Hatred, I have almost 100% effective crit chance while my Diamond Flask is active. And yeah, that's it for rings. You will try to get life, you will try to get flat fizz, and maybe craft increased damage. Same thing here, I have life elemental damage with attacks. I have a good strength roll. You will need to get at least 160 plus strength on one of your items, because again this is a dexterity based passive tree, so you will need to get some attributes that you are missing. And yeah, I have went with strength on one of my rings because that's easy to get here. As my other items are basically busy giving me other mods that I need. Here I have multi-modded into increased damage and one of the most powerful crafts in the game, which is crit chance and crit multi if you have shattered an enemy recently. This effect triggers if you deal cold damage, which freezes enemies, and if you have something like Herald of Ice, which we are obviously running in this build, you will be shattering everything you attack. And yeah, that's basically free crit chance and crit multi in one craft. Next, for helm, I have a generic shaped helm with life resistances. Here I have a aura setup that is level 4 enlighten linked with hatred and double heralds. One of them is Herald of Ice, obviously. The second one can be either Herald of Purity or Herald of Ash. Now, why Herald of Purity? Now, I have too much gain effect. With gain, I mean like fizz as extra element. I have these on both of my weapons and my amulet. And this is good because increasing base physical damage means that I gain increased all elemental damage, because every mod that gives me increased like gain element from your physical damage will now give you even more for every mod you have on your item. I have 4, I have 2 on my amulet, I have 1 on each one of my weapons, and hatred gives you 24%, 25% of fizz as extra cold. So I have almost like over 100% fizz as extra modifiers in total in this build, and that's why increasing base physical damage is good. That's actually why I'm also using melee physical damage support gem. And yeah, that's it for your aura setup. For weapons, I have a high physical damage jeweled foils, dual of them. They are shaped, which means that they can roll a powerful prefix, which is either gain 20% of fizz as extra cold or fizz as extra lightning. This mod can be also rolled on Crusader based items, but you need the item to be shaped to count towards the Eternity Shroud bonuses. So again, yeah, we went with the Shaper base. You will aim to have double Fizz as your other two prefixes and attack speed. Anything extra is like good to have. I have here quality with crit chance craft. Here I have again double Fizz prefix in addition to Fizz as extra cold and tier 1 attack speed. And yeah, that's it for both of your weapons. For gem links over here, I have faster attacks linked with whirling blades and fortify. Here I have precision, level 3 enlighten, and like clarity. You can go up as much as you can with clarity. The additional mana regen is good because it will allow you to further sustain in addition to the small amount of mana leech you have on the passive tree. Try not to go below like 50 mana. That will be a safe side. As long as you are attacking things, you will be able like to sustain attacking, and mana will not be a problem. If you can't like have level 4 enlighten here, then you might want to drop one of your heralds and like go up with clarity as much as possible until you have like 50 mana remaining, and that will help you sustain without having to hit anything. For Amulet, I have E-shaped Onyx Amulet over here with the two specific mods that I'm going for, which are two prefixes, Fizz as extra cold and Fizz as extra lightning. I have increased their rolls with the elemental damage catalysts. For your last prefix, it can be high life roll or it can be flat Fizz, it's up to you. But for suffixes, you might want to craft like crit chance. You can get an amulet with crit multi if you want. That will give you even higher damage. Here I have multi-modded the suffixes into life regen and increased global crit chance. And yeah, that's it for items. For flasks, I have the Quicksilver flask, like that's in literally every build you will be playing. Here I have immunity to curses because I don't want to be slowed by something like Temp Chain or Enfeeble while mapping. I have an evasion flask with immunity to freeze. I have a big ticket flask, Bottled Fate, one of the best endgame flasks you can have. You will try to get as high base crit chance on it as possible. I already established that I have 100% effective crit chance with like all the bonuses active, even without my diamond flask if I have this one active. So it's not very difficult to get 100% crit chance. This is important because you will be freezing everything with this much damage. Anyway, here I have rolled immunity to bleed and increased duration. Finally, I have Adziri's Promise. This is one of the best flasks you can get for this build. Not only it gives you Fizz as extra chaos damage, but also gives you elemental damage as extra chaos damage. You get the benefits of both because we are a Fizz based build that gains element from base physical damage, and since we have both physical damage and elemental damage in this build, you gain chaos damage from both in addition to the amount you got from like converting from Fizz to element and all of that like gained as chaos from your Eternity Shroud in addition to the ascendancy. So having this flask active, it will give you a huge chunk of damage in addition to 2% chaos damage leech as life. This flask alone active gives me over 40% more damage in addition to like instantly filling my life with like a single attack, because I will be dealing like lots of chaos damage, which means I will be healed to max in like an instant, because 2% is a lot with this much damage. And yeah, that's it for flasks. For Pantheons, I have the Soul of Lunaris to even boost my evasive defensive layer, and it gives you movement speed while mapping. And I have immunity to poison because I didn't invest into sufficient chaos resistance. For Bandits, you will help Alira for the many beneficial bonuses she provides. The 5 mana regen is good, the crit multi is good, it's the most efficient way to scale your damage, even better than the 20% increased damage you get from Oak's favor, in addition to 15% increased elemental resistances. And yeah, that's basically it for the build. If you guys have enjoyed this video, you know what to do. Hit that thumbs up button, show some love, and tell me what you think about this build. If you think like something can be changed, something can be improved, I'm all ears, I'm listening. And yeah, I will see you all in the next video.